Hi everybody, welcome back to my series and welcome to those who have just started my series with this blog post. My name is April Payne and I'm the founder of April Miller Coaching. I've been helping many people over the past 2 years find their empowerment and inner leadership to crush their personal goals. I monitor groups that focus on empowerment and leadership with multiple levels of success happening within these groups. I highly encourage you to participate in one. But let's get started on language and why it is important when it comes to empowering ourselves. First off, we know that language is the main way to communicate with each other. Using language to communicate is empowering to the individual communicating as well as to the person being spoken to. So I'm going to go over some personal empowerment, 3 ideas for personal empowerment that can be useful for yourself. So the first one is to use positive language. There has been tons of research that shows that language suggests a person's self-image in the words they use. So for example, let's look at the word should. When people use this word, they actually behave in a certain way that implies passivity and can detract from them seeming to be in control and taking responsibility for their actions. When you talk about yourself in a positive way, like acknowledging your strengths and your weaknesses, that can be empowering. The second tip is using active language. So it's really important to use terms that have a positive side with it rather than just be vague, especially when talking about the future. For example, use I will and I can instead of I might. And the third one is use words to define your own space and identity. So be intentional with your words in order to really mean what you say. If you don't, what's going to happen is others will attempt to define you and they'll set standards. They may even try to convince you to conform to their ideals rather than your own. So be clear about who you are, your values and goals, and don't let others try to define you. Now I'm going to talk with you about but empowering others, and there are 4 tips with that. So this is when you're communicating with somebody else and how to communicate with them in order to empower them. So the first one is to avoid jargon or complex terminology. When you do this, it can be alienating and disempowering. If you use like jargon, it can create feelings of intimidation and inferiority. If there's no shared usage of words, it can't create that effective and empowering communication. So you need to be clear and choose words with care. The second one is to focus on the words that people use. Mirror the use of words that other people use. When you use shared terminology, it can actually make you seem more in tune with the other person and what they're saying. The third one is to avoid criticism and negativity. Criticism should only be used when it's necessary, and then give a lot of care if you go this direction. Once words have been spoken, they can't be easily taken back. So think before you speak is a great mantra to remember and use. If criticism is necessary though, it can be given in a constructive way by using positive and supporting words and phrases, and you want to cushion those criticisms with those positive words and affirmations. The last one is to use open-ended questions when appropriate. Closed questions are only going to give them yes and no answers. It can then make people feel powerless because then they're very limited in what they're being asked and how they can reply. So on the opposite end, you want to do open-ended questions because it gives people the chance to be asked their reasons behind their answers. It encourages responsibility for their thoughts and actions, which aids empowerment within them. Open-ended questions can also help solve problems, set goals, and work through actions. So language sure is important, isn't it? I mean, there's so many things to think about to make sure that we're communicating effectively and accurately. So what about you? Is there an area that you need to focus on? Is there an area that you want to help others focus on? Tell me about it in the comments, and thanks for watching. I'll see you with my next blog.